this looks really bad for Israel, the people of Israel, but it also doesn't look great for the Palestinian people.
There's no winners in this reading. That's what I'm seeing. There's just death and loss and betrayal from both sides. Hello and welcome to Seder Soul Sailing. My name is Victoria Steinsøy.
I'm Darwin Holmstrom.
And today we are doing a reading for the Israel-Palestine conflict that is ongoing at the moment.
They had quite a lot to say.
Yeah, it's a very intense reading.
Our cards are usually very kind, very gentle. This time they
were not gentle
nor kind.
No.
They're not very happy about what's happening.
So with that said, let's get started.
Let's start with the Signifier.
So when we laid this out, death was the first card that came up. That's their signifier. So this is, I think it represents both parties at this moment in time. And we can see it very obviously. Usually death is not necessarily a negative card because it has this aspect of rebirth. It's usually in a personal reading, it would be something dying away, something ending. In this scenario, however, you have so many people dying on both sides, right? And mostly on the Palestinian side.
Mostly on the Palestinian side,
yeah.
As usual.
It's both the physical death of people of both sides, but I think it also has to do with the death of something old.
I think we might be looking at the death of Israel as a nation state. It may soon be just a historical footnote about an occupied land.
That's very possible. And we're going to get into astrology later, but it really fits with a lot of the astrological aspect as well. So the root for this situation is the Magician. And although this is also considered a good card because it's this masculine magic, it's this putting out magic, it's starting something. We believe there is some black magic involved in what is going on.
Left-hand path.
Yeah, left-hand path, definitely.
Widerschen, not docile.
So what's going on now, it's not like it just happened. We think it's been orchestrated and that it's been planned very deliberately and that there's been some dark magic involved.
There still seems to be a certain amount of planning taking place, but there's something changing dramatically. It's as if the same forces that conspired to create Israel as a nation state are now kind of conspiring to possibly dissolve it.
And you finally see both the media and nations, world leaders turning on Israel and actually condemning them for the way they've responded.
This is forceful magic. This is the masculine magic is projecting out, and the feminine, like the high priestess, is drawing power into yourself.
And so is the Queen of Wands.
Which is the overall situation.
Yeah, this was perhaps the most confusing aspect of the reading because it's yet another card that has to do with creation. It's kind of like creating something from nothing, and it has to do with passion. That's the overall situation, and you do see passion on both sides, but it's not this very feminine energy. It's very forceful. It's very obsessive about maintaining what's been. But I think in this sense, it's more of the feminine magic. So they've set out the action in the root card, and right now the situation is that it has more to do with emotions.
The Queen of Wands, I'm quite fond of her, but she's also a bit of a volatile, unpredictable, almost impetuous character. She's fire energy. She's got a temper. She's not somebody you want to have angry at you.
And she's got a black cat. I think it's the kind of the witchiest of the queen cards in a way. Yeah. So there's still some magic going on here.
But it might not be working out in favor of what's happened in the past.
It depends on what the goal is, because it could seem obvious that the goal for both sides is to destroy the other side, but it's almost like they are deliberately destroying the whole, like the both sides at once. They're making them destroy each other.
Yes, and if you look at the history of the last 20 years in Palestine, in Gaza, Hamas has been, I think they took over, they won the election in 2006. Hamas is like a construct of the Israeli deep state. It's a very strange, almost like controlled opposition that was put in place for the purpose of causing conflict, to give an excuse to go in and mow the grass, which is the euphemism Israel uses for genocide against the Palestinian people of Gaza.
And it's, the leaders of both sides are not really representing the people, but the people are the ones that are suffering, right? So
On both sides.
yeah, on both sides. The gateway card is really grim. Well, upside down.
Yeah, this
This is the gateway card. So, Three of Swords, that's loss. It's heartbreak. It's losing something dear to you.
on top of this card.
Yeah, those are not good together.
The death card, often it's a form of rebirth, but you have to cross a dark chasm. You have to cross the abyss.
You have to leave something behind. You have to lose something.
In the Kabbalah tree of life, to get to the supernal triad, the Kether, the crown, the three upper Sephirah, you have to die. To pass through the abyss, you can only pass through the abyss by dying. And
I think they have to realize that what was will be lost. Like, there is no way around this. There is no way of, like, keeping things as it were. There's no way. And even this conflict that's been going on for so long, I think it's coming to an end, for better or for worse, because of course it's not been pleasant for neither parties. But I really believe it's ending, forcefully.
and
And they're waiting for that. I really believe they are. They've planted their seeds with the Magician card. They put their spell out there, and now they're waiting to see both sides destroy each other. There's a big genocide on both sides, and they're just kind of patiently sitting back and waiting for things to come to completion. And that's...
this is a planetary energy.
Yeah,
And
that's betrayal, right? This is being stabbed in the back by your own. And
This is,
exactly what's happening.
this is all the world's leaders that used to, like Trudeau would, he didn't just bring Nazis up to be applauded and get standing ovations in Parliament. Justin Trudeau, he's had quite a few Israeli leaders up there on the same stage as the Ukrainian Nazi soldier, getting standing ovations. And this could be the World Economic Forum Young Leadership Council turning on Israel.
So you got this as the planetary energy, Ten of Swords, endings, betrayal, being stabbed in the back, being beaten down, and it's modified by the Five of Wands, which is all about quarreling, like disagreements, different sides. Nobody's listening, and everyone's just fighting, and they're almost not even realizing they're being betrayed because they're so caught up in this. They're so caught up in fighting the other side that they don't even see that they've been thrown under the bus. Yeah. We took the chance to look up the birth chart of Israel.
Yes. And there's really no other way to put this, pardon my language, but Israel's kind of fucked astrologically. It is, let me read you a bit. So, Uranus is conjunct Israel's sun right now, using the traditional Israeli birth chart of May 14th, 1948 at 4 something p.m. Uranus is conjunct with Israel's natal sun, which is motivating Israel to attempt to rid itself of its indigenous Palestinian population and free itself from the moral obligations that being an occupying nation state imposes on their actions. This could backfire and lead to some sort of a revolution in which Palestinians retake control of their lands. Israel wants to remove the limitations imposed by potential sanctions for its crimes against humanity, but this is more likely to create unpredictability and instability and chaos. This will force Israel and the countries that support Israel to abandon old patterns and embark on a new course. The more energy Israel puts into resisting these changes, the more chaotic the changes will be, possibly leading to the dissolution of Israel as a nation state. And that's happening. Just today we saw reports of a bunch of nations that have historically supported Israel without reservation are now starting to be a bit shocked by the genocide that's taking place in Gaza. And Saturn is really messing with Israel too. Right now, Saturn's in almost a direct opposition to Mars, Israel's natal Mars. It retrograded into this position on August 19th and stationed around 2 degrees from exact in early October. It'll remain there until after it goes direct in November, so this is a long transit. This is an extremely difficult transit in which everything Israel attempts is blocked by circumstances and opposed by others. This will infuriate Israelis, but they'll have no outlet for their anger. It will boil over inside the country and people will be left seething with frustration. But the world situation will leave them no recourse. World opinion will be a serious source of trouble for Israel during this transit, as the consequences of actions Israel initiated many years ago limit the country's ability to act as it wishes. Israel will be tempted to lash out against the forces it sees as conspiring against it, but this will only worsen their problems. As a result, the pent-up energy within the country will erupt in uncontrollable outbursts that will multiply the country's problems. These outbursts, which will likely take the form of attacks against the Palestinian people in Gaza, will provoke responses from the rest of the world that will lead to even greater problems. The nation-state of Israel could conceivably become a victim of its own violence. The country's problems may be complicated by health issues, such as a rise in heart diseases and cancers that cause a significant portion of Israel's population to unexpectedly die. Neptune square Uranus is also almost exact. This is a time when the world's opinions of Israel's actions will suddenly change. The world is becoming aware of the reality of Israel's treatment of indigenous Palestinians, something everyone has long suspected but was reluctant to acknowledge. Something Israel has been trying to keep secret from the world will be revealed suddenly, creating a powerful backlash against Israel. This transit will expose truths that the world has never been willing to recognize. We'll realize that what we've been told is the truth is totally wrong. Initially, people will be too upset to handle this new knowledge in any reasonable way, leading to a backlash against Israel and potentially a rise in anti-Semitism around the world. If this happens, it will be important not to blame Jewish people for the atrocities committed by the nation-state of Israel.
So, that said, in the desire position, we got the Five of Swords. This is not a very good card. This has to do with, a cheap victory, leaving the battlefield too soon. And I think it has to do with winning, but kind of giving in, and that doesn't, you don't get very far with this. It doesn't last. So the victory you might gain won't really be a real victory.
Winning through foul methods, winning through villainous means and methods. It's a cheap victory because you don't deserve the victory because you cheated and you lied and you killed people and committed all kinds of atrocities to achieve this victory. And somehow modified by waking up from a nightmare. And I think what this indicates is that this cheap victory, this unearned victory, is going to wake people up to crimes against humanity that have been committed for decades, since the birth of the nation of Israel. This is not going to play out well for the nation state of Israel.
For the fears, we got the Page of Swords. I think this is the fear of young people that are looking for real logic and real facts and all this. Like the Page of Swords is really all about like seeking knowledge and really getting a deeper understanding of the world. And it's a bit naive, a bit impetuous, but they're really fearing this rise of like skepticism, people asking questions. They really don't want that, but that's what's happening. Like people are really working on gaining more information about the situation and seeing that it's much more nuanced than they might have been taught to believe.
Also, I think Israel fears that its own actions have been childish and impetuous, that they have
too hot-headed.
They have behaved as petulant, spoiled children in their treatment of the Palestinian people. And they should be afraid of that. This one,
Yeah.
this
is the internal future of the situation.
perfecting a craft.
Yeah.
And possibly, I mean, one possible interpretation is the craft has been kind of using the war. They're sort of using the playbook that was used against them 70 years ago. They perfected the craft of genocide. And
they're going out to war. That's the future card. Chariot. This is challenging card. It's not always bad either, but it's nuanced. It's a warrior. It's like, I am ready to fight. But with the final outcome, we got another 5. It's 5 of Pentacles. And that has to do with poverty and loss and going from being at the top of the pyramid to the very bottom, right? So it doesn't look like there's going to be positive outcome either sides.
they might achieve some kind of a victory against Hamas, which isn't that difficult since Hamas basically has bottle rockets that they lob at Israel whenever Israel needs an excuse to go in and mow the grass. But in this case,
they're going to end up at the very bottom here, and they're still going to try to hold on to whatever they have left. So they're not going to give up that easily. Like, no matter what happens, they're going to try to cling to what was, I think. And that's going to be a problem, because here's the signifier. It's kind of like having to realize that it's gone, it's dead. You need to change, and there's a resistance to change here that is going to be very problematic.
that's in their astrology. That's in their transit. The planets are conspiring to make Israel continue to behave the way it's behaved all this time, and also conspiring against that working and having a huge backlash. Altogether, this looks really bad for Israel, the people of Israel, but it also doesn't look great for the Palestinian people, because
there's no winners in this reading. That's what I'm seeing. There's just death and loss and betrayal from both sides. So
yeah, I mean, every bad card that could come up.
They're all here.
We don't really consider cards bad, but
no,
in the
all
story
comes,
it's telling here.
Yeah, in this particular story, there's really, I don't see a lot of hope. There's just a lot of warnings, and somebody needs to learn their lessons, and they're very reluctant in doing so.
Usually the cards give clues for how you can avoid a lot of this stuff. I've never seen a reading like this. We've never seen a reading like this.
It's not, there is really no hope here, and that is grim to say, but I really don't see anything that is even hinting to the potential of redemption.
This is a very kind deck. I've never seen the cards tell a story like this before.
But that said, we're just here to convey the message, and we'll see how the whole situation develops shortly. We hope you enjoyed. We hope it was informative.
We hope we have a better one to give you next time.
Yeah, more positive one. Well, certain things are just ready to end, right? So that's not always a bad thing for the world overall.
It's not going to be easy for the people involved, though. My heart goes out to all the people.
Absolutely, because this is a war again. Like, this is a war where leaders are sending out people that don't really have any business.
And basically everybody involved is cannon fodder.
If there's any topic you want us to look into, let us know below, and we'll see you in our next video.